Yep. I'm gonna head out on a bolt. He ain't going nowhere.
Here we go. Start, coach.
You ready? You ready
Start
now?
now.
Let's get started. Oh, still got a couple
She's
more.
doing roll call.
Still got a couple more.
Little Diddy, got Jack and Diane. Two American boys growing up in the heartland. Down, down.
2025.
Huh?
Said it's 2025. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Some new faces. My name is Tobias. I'm an intern with Lewis and Clark.
Good to have you, Mr. Spine.
Good to be here, Earl. I teach this class as part of my internship. I'm definitely open to any kind of questions or concerns or debates. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to provide today is evidence-based, but it's my kind of individual look at how we do recovery. So if it seems odd or you don't like it, that's cool. We can talk about it. Any questions before we get started?
Hey, good. What times you got this week for scheduling a little session?
I got 9 and 11 on Thursday and 9 and 11 on Monday. So if you guys are interested in extra individual sessions,
Thursday.
Yeah.
At 9.
I'll check in with you at the break. We'll set it up.
All right. Thank you. Yes, any questions? That's my question.
Okay, we'll start with roll. So we'll just go around. I want you guys to introduce yourselves. Tell me how you're doing today, and tell me where you find inspiration today. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Brendan. I've been days 4-14-5. 12-14. I find inspiration in education.
Education. What do you like to learn about?
Right now I like to learn about anything, really.
Nice. Cool. Thanks, Brendan.
Steven, 4/26/25. Finding inspiration. Well, I was doing some creative writing last night, so my inspiration was really just coming from my experiences here and in my past representatives, and just being out and about, just kind of utilizing that as a way to get free-form writing out.
Nice. You doing like poetry or short story?
Yeah,
Poetry.
It's just kind of random stuff that I just enjoy. I was an English major in college, so like writing and just kind of not really thinking and just letting the words come.
Mm-hmm. Free association stuff.
Very cathartic for me.
Yeah, nice. Thanks, Steven.
My name's Jeff, 4/24/25, meth and alcohol. And my inspiration would be the panel meetings at night, listening to them guys' stories with multi-years of sobriety and stuff. Some good stories.
Yeah, those are like the alumni who come back and share with you guys after being
Yeah,
here.
they have panel meetings every night.
Yeah.
They're always real good.
Cool. Thanks, Jeff.
Inspirational.
Awesome.
Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
You'll be all right. Go ahead, sir.
Bobo, I find inspiration in connection and reading.
Yeah. What are you reading right now?
The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Oh, that's a good one. Nice.
I just finished the 4 Agreements too. That was a really powerful one.
Hey, yeah, you're on some good stuff. Stay with that.
I'm offering him a book. He's already read them all.
Thanks, Popo.
Justin, 4/29/25. Finding inspiration in putting one foot in front of the other and making the right decisions.
Nice. Thanks, Joseph.
Steven with a PH.
With a PH.
4/11/25. I'm finding inspiration in myself this week.
Nice.
Some fasting things drive me nuts, and it's inspiring me to, translate that into sobriety outside of here.
You said a fasting thing?
Yeah, intermittent fasting.
Oh, okay.
At least I'll be somewhere.
Cool. Thanks, Steven.
Sean, 5/2/25. We're reading
inspiration. I mean, I just got a detox, so being around you guys, it's inspiring. Nice to be around y'all.
Cool, thanks. Welcome. Thanks, Sean.
Ernie, 5225. I find inspiration, I guess, in actually like books and people, like people
Anything specific you're reading right now?
yeah, it's currently Leave the World Behind. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Cool.
About trusting people. I don't trust them.
All right, thanks, Ernie.
Olin, 42625, also finding reading or inspiration in reading, and everyone's willingness to share their stories.
Sean, 315.
My family.
Sean, do you spell your name with a SH or a EA?
SH.
Thank you.
Richard, 3925. I was saying my kids.
Nate, 42225, and my family.
Thanks, Nate.
427, Smith, there's no inspiration in God.
You said God?
Tyler, 5125, and I find inspiration in the men who came before me in the program.
Tyler, how's it going for you this time?
I'm doing a lot more work. I've
Yeah.
already read more in my big book than I did the whole last time I was here, and I'm actually taking notes during classes and just kind of taking it more serious.
Awesome. Good to have you back, sir.
Marty, 41025. I find inspiration in building relationships. The people I've met here, and hopefully I can continue those on the outside.
Thanks, Marty.
Rod, 41125, alcohol, spiritual, and learning from others.
Thanks, Ron.
Josh, 5125. I've been finding inspiration in reading
You got anything you're focusing on right now?
the AA book.
Kyle, 5325, meth. I find inspiration in everybody here.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys. We'll start with a little bit of review. Like you guys know, most of you are only here for a few weeks, so the course that I'm teaching is 12 weeks, so all of you will get bits and pieces of it. So to start, I want to try and at least get us all on the same page. We'll make a little progress this week, and then next week we'll work on it some more. So this is where we stopped last week. Departure, initiation, and return. We were talking about, what were we talking about when we finished off last week? Who took notes? Steven's got some.
Automatic stops and thinking errors to positive reframing, where we left off. Making associations with what you call the archetypes for each, or hero's journey, I guess you'd call it, from departure, initiation, return, how that translates into trauma, addictive thinking, or addict thinking, active addiction, sorry, and sobriety recovery, and then a daily life call venture refusal. So all these are intertwined into what we are. Okay, great synopsis, right?
Cool, yeah, thanks, Steven. The basics.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything else they want to add? Okay, so my idea in creating this curriculum is to try to get you guys to be engaged with this process, right? Like recovery and sobriety are already challenging enough. They don't need to be boring as well, right? So I'm looking for interaction from you guys. I'm trying to put some stuff up here that's somewhat evocative so that we start to think about this process in a different way than just stopping drinking or quitting using and getting clean and then trying to get back out into the world. Like there's lots of ways that we can be creative about this process and I think this process can be super transformational. You could come out of this process a completely different person if you put in the time and the intention and the effort. You don't have to, and not everybody does, but there's lots of ways to make this process valuable, right? It's not just quitting something, it's not just trying to get clean. There's an opportunity here for you to kind of change your life in a big, powerful, transformational way. I think that's pretty cool. Anybody else? Okay, we got 2 or 3. Good. That's all I need. So, we're going to talk about, again, a little bit of the hero's journey. We talked about 12 steps last week that you could overlay with the traditional AA 12 steps and kind of start to meld these ideas together. Yeah, you're good.
Quick little thing.
Sure.
So it seems like everything's 12 steps and 12 weeks and 12, so it's just based off of AA. But I mean, kind of, it's the way I was kind of like interpreting, because I just started thinking about it like, you got IOP that's 12 weeks, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You got OP that's 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You got, so, I mean, everything's based off AA. I mean, really, because it's like 12 weeks, 12 this, 12 that. Besides your meetings, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just wondering if that's how they're just, is it because like they're looking at it as like you might be stealing something from the 12-step program? Or you said this is 12 weeks. This is a 12-week thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so. I mean, everything in recovery is based off of 12 weeks.
Yeah. So there's a lot of. It's a complex answer, but I'll give you a couple ideas that I know about.
Okay.
So AA was kind of like the first established like rigorous recovery program. So
Yeah.
it did lay the foundation for
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
everything that came after that. Second thing is, as far as like evidence-based treatments go, 90 days is sort of like a gold standard. Meaning like if you want to change a habit, anything,
Yeah.
it takes that long for you to kind of get rid of the old habit, get into a rhythm and a routine of a new habit, and then establish that as new behavior.
Okay.
So 12 weeks, right, is about 3 months,
Okay.
right? So it's just kind of like a template that we use. It's
Okay.
not hard and fast. It doesn't have to be 12 is the number that has to happen.
I was just curious to that.
Yes, yeah, and it's a great question. And
Yeah.
go ahead, sir.
Let's say it was an add-on too, is that, because this isn't so different than any other treatment center too. Like, it's kind of like and it could be federal, state, county, it's a way to do their,
Funding.
aggregates and, you know, their, what else do we call it?
Well, I think, are you talking about insurance? Is that where you're going
Well,
with this?
yeah, for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, there's kind of a reason why everybody kind of follows this path.
Yeah, exactly. So that was going to be my last point.
With their little spin on it.
Yeah, exactly. My last point is that as far as treatment and recovery are concerned, there has to be some kind of like template for how it gets billed, right? Insurance companies say they'll allot, usually it's about 90 days worth of payment. Does that make sense? So each iteration of treatment, whether that's detox and withdrawal, going through residential into IOP, into outpatient, insurance will only cover so much of that. So we can't really.
So many times in one
Yeah, exactly. So that also impacts the kind of programs that we can utilize in
Now,
recovery.
you guys get paid for the whole thing at first? Like, are they paying it from the insurance, or they paying, I mean, just asking, this is, I mean, are they giving them a payment all in one chunk? Are they making sure that they stay the whole time, or is it based off of how many days you stay? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just curious,
Yeah,
you know?
we're going to spend about 2 more minutes on this, just so
Yeah.
you can get the answer. But
Yeah.
it's done basically 2 ways. Either you private pay, like you fund it yourself in some way, or you come here and you say, this is the treatment I want, this is the insurance I have, and then we try to make those things match up.
Okay.
So there's lots of different ways it can go, but basically, like, as long as you're here, your insurance needs to be like updated and regular.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Did I answer your question?
totally does.
A little off topic, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I also would say research the 12 thing. I find the 12 thing is happening all the time in the research that I'm doing.
Yeah.
There's significance for a lot of different stuff. Stephen and I had an interesting conversation about the zodiac last week. There's 12 signs of the zodiac.
All right.
Why are there 12 months? Like, there's a lot of, like, you could go wooey with it if you wanted to, but you don't have to.
Yeah. No, it's just, that's exactly that.
Good
12
question.
months, huh? So it's fine.
Make sense? All right, so let's move on. So let's jump into this. So I want to set this up because I want you guys to start thinking about how you are navigating your personal journey and where you are in this journey currently, right? Most of us are past the departure point because you're in treatment, right? You've made the choice to come to treatment, you're kind of already off on this journey. But just to refresh, departure is like how everything begins. So we talked about some pop culture examples, movies you've seen or books that you've seen, right? We talked about sort of some traditional landmarks in life, like you graduate from high school and you go off to college, right? You move out of your parents' house, you decide to join the military, you get your first job. All of those things kind of fall into departure, right? When we phrase it, or when we frame it in terms of like the addiction journey or the journey to sobriety, this is kind of like where all the whatever bad shit happened to you happened. So maybe for some of us that was as far back as being kids. Maybe it was something like you lost a loved one, or you got fired from a job, or you had to move somewhere, something that caused a little bit of trauma that you weren't able to heal from. That kind of initiated whatever turned into addiction for you. Does that make sense? Okay. Initiation, this is like the middle of the journey. For me, this is like where most of us are right now. You're kind of like slogging through the bullshit again, okay? This is when we kind of start to wrap our heads around trying to be different people, where we start to confront and accept change. Most of you here at this point are at least not using actively anymore, so that's a big significant change towards sobriety, right? You kind of have to accept that. If you don't accept that, getting through recovery is going to be a much bigger challenge, okay? This is where we start to develop perseverance. Again, last week we talked about a whole bunch of different words that you could use for perseverance. Could be resilience, could be grit, could be endurance. All of those things are like you figuring out kind of the core of yourself. And in the next couple weeks, we're going to talk about values and goals. How you guys start to approach life with a sober mind, and what does that mean? How do you interact in your relationships? What kind of work do you want to do? How do you navigate the process of treatment and recovery in a way that's beneficial for you, but also hopefully beneficial for the people around you? Okay, and then return. So this is kind of talking about when you come back from the journey. So phrasing it in terms of where you guys are right now, it's like, once you finish this program, what's next for you? You're going to be a different person after you finish residential. You might not be all the way to the person that you want to be, but you're already in the process of change, right? So moving forward, we also talked about maturity when we talked about moving forward. So getting your physical self together, right? Being physically healthy. Getting your psychological self together. Meeting with your counselor and starting to get your mind back on track with how to be a functioning individual out in society, right? A lot of you guys mentioned inspiration in relationships. A big part of the return is like, you got to start figuring out how to get better people to surround yourself with, right? A lot of us in our active addiction stayed in our active addiction probably at least in part because of the people that we were hanging out with, right? So you have to get your own mind kind of wrapped around the idea that once you get into sobriety, you can't hang out with the same people, you can't hang out in the same places. So all of that stuff has to shift, right? And this is very proactive. So in departure or in our active addiction, we're kind of reacting to the circumstances around us. By the time we get to the return, hopefully we have some idea of who we are as an individual, and instead of worrying so much about the external circumstances, the things that are happening to us, we can just kind of figure out how we're going to make our way in the world despite those circumstances. This make sense? Any questions on this before I add to it? Okay. So I'm just going to put up a few more words in each of these kind of categories, and then let's have a brief discussion to see if they resonate, if they make sense to you, or if there's other ideas you guys want to add.
How's that Starbucks?
It's good. It's tempting? Sorry, I'll put it at a...
No, you're good.
Out of sight.
I don't do Starbucks anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so in this first one, some of the things that we have to deal with are powerlessness. And again, you guys can write all these down if you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine too. Dysregulation. Evaluation. And disconnection. Okay, so powerlessness, dysregulation, devaluation, and disconnection. Give me some feedback on those 4 words that I just added. What do they elicit for you? Do they make you feel anything? Do you have experience?
Vulnerability.
Vulnerability. Say more.
Vulnerability to, or I guess you could say, your willingness to accept change or the thought of change, and that whatever you've done before doesn't work.
Are you aiming for powerlessness?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Good.
So the vulnerability to me is like, yeah, I mean, it would be, you have no other choice type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's what paralysis to me is like, you just don't, your brain is thinking that you can't stop drinking in my circumstance, and that you've lost control.
Yeah.
So I guess that'd be the vulnerability to show that you are out of control.
Yeah, loss of control is a great way to kind of bring all those together. I like that. Go ahead, Steve.
It's just like for me, it evokes like loneliness, like, especially with disconnection, you know, like there's this tie that you have that's severed, and so you're just kind of like floating away from, you know, your family, your friends, your whatever, your life, I guess, more than anything. Especially, I mean, all these just make me feel like,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, isolation is definitely something that would be part of departure, right? We often talk about like the hero's journey being something that you at least initiate on your own, right? You go off by yourself. We talked about Lord of the Rings and Matrix and all of those things. The hero definitely starts this journey by himself and isolated. Good. Anything else on these?
They all make me feel like I felt before I went to detox.
Yeah, for sure. So you're familiar with all of these feelings. Yeah, I think all of us are, right? These are definitely pretty consistent parts about being in active addiction. Tell me your name again, sir.
That's it?
Josh. What's your name?
Oh, Josh.
Josh. Thank you.
He's like, no.
I was going to say, you don't have to, I guess, but. Okay, Josh. Okay, yeah, so. A couple of these I want to pay attention to just because we're going to come back to them as kind of themes in the next couple weeks. Dysregulation and disconnection, right? Devaluation is like obviously a very personal kind of thing, right? You may have some shame or some guilt around either your active addiction or the thing that happened before you got into active addiction. Dysregulation and disconnection, right? These are kind of talking about how we interact with other people as we move through sobriety, right? Dysregulation kind of, it doesn't always have to, but it really kind of references your emotional state, right? Your ability to interact with a distressing situation, and instead of it dysregulating you and you having some kind of reaction, right? You're getting to a point where you can recognize that you're going to be dysregulated or triggered, and then you have some skills or tools to help you navigate that in a positive way, right? Instead of just being able to punch a hole in the wall every time you get pissed at something, right? And then obviously disconnection, moving from this place where you're kind of navigating sobriety by yourself. Hopefully once you get through part of this, you get back out in the world and you establish or reestablish connection with your family, find a new social group, get involved with a meeting. There's lots of ways that you guys can surround yourselves with support once you're moving through this process. Anything else on those? All right, next group. Insecurities. Mm-hmm.
What's the realistic one?
Realistic and sensible. Okay, so we've got letting go of insecurities, we've got realistic and sensible, we've got wisdom to integrate, and we've got love to connect. Before we jump into those, out of these 3 different topics, what do you guys think is the most challenging one to navigate? What do we?
Wisdom to what?
Wisdom to integrate.
Yeah, that would be mine.
Love to connect.
Love to connect.
Hate everything you do.
Like the top 3.
Right, of departure, initiation, and return, which is the most challenging?
Initiation.
Right. You guys all understand why?
That's the work.
That's the work, right? This is where we do the process of like unwinding all of the bullshit that you've experienced previously, feeling sort of like unsettled and ungrounded because you're unsure of who you are, but also starting to build toward or create the new person that you're going to be. So letting go of insecurities. How do we let go of insecurities? What's something you guys are insecure about?
Mine's a little bit of my weight sometimes. You know what I mean? When I pull my shirt off or something out of the water.
Yeah, so what's the other side of that? So
The other
instead of
side
being...
is do some work and lose some weight.
Yeah, good, exactly. So you know that you're insecure about how your body looks or feels, but you could also exercise and that'd be a way to change that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool, good. What else?
Confidence growing, whether mental state,
Cool.
mental health.
Yep. So then what's something that you can do to...
Therapy, counseling, interacting with the group.
Yeah, awesome.
All that stuff.
Yep, good deal.
Mine would be coming back to Lifeline again, such a short period of time.
Yeah, so say more. So insecure about having to come back to treatment.
Yeah, just facing the problem, facing the relapse, facing all,
And also recognizing that you know where to get help and taking advantage of that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks.
We
Tyler.
program.
Say it again.
We program.
Weed?
It's a weed program.
Oh, weed.
Yeah,
Yes.
weed.
Yes. Not
Not
the
like
weed.
the
Not
weed.
weed. No, not weed. The weed.
We're not lost on the weed.
Okay. I've talked about it before, but realistic and sensible is just kind of referencing the way that your, what do you got? You good? Your sensible mind comes back to the world, right? In active addiction, right? You're actually kind of running from reality. You're trying to numb yourself out. You're trying to distract yourself from something distressing. You're not really interacting with reality very much at all. Coming into treatment, getting sober, starting to like have a clear mind and be able to process the world around you. So when I say realistic and sensible, that's a very individual thing, right? What makes sense for you? As you're going through treatment, what are some things that didn't make sense previously that hopefully either make sense now or will make sense in the future?
What's that? Oh, sorry. I was writing some of this stuff down.
That's okay. So in active addiction, there were things that made sense for you, but they weren't sensible, right?
Yeah.
So now coming into sobriety, getting through recovery, what are some things that didn't make sense, but now you want to make sense in the future?
Go.
I would say reaching out, making the calls, making the calls to the positive people instead of the negative people.
Okay, so in your active use or addiction, the thing that made sense was to call your dealer, right? And that was the thing that would give you some kind of sense of relief.
Yeah.
And instead now in active recovery, who are you going to call?
Call the positive people.
Thank you. Good job.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Calling the positive people who are actually doing the work.
Right, right. So maybe a sponsor, maybe a mentor. Yeah, cool. Go ahead, Marty. Go ahead, Popo.
Your environment.
Sure.
Like, plays a part. Things make sense, being in the scene or being out.
Yep.
Doing stuff that wasn't, you shouldn't be doing.
Yep.
And then, now that you're in recovery or know better, you know not to be in those environments.
Yeah, exactly. Nice.
So I mean, self-awareness.
Self-awareness is a huge part of it, for sure. Let's get Marty real quick. I'll come back to you, Justin.
Just knowing there's other ways to deal with problems, like instead of doing drugs and numbing it, coping skills, stuff like that. There are coping skills that you can actually use.
Absolutely.
I was completely oblivious to.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
Now I'm learning those coping skills.
Yeah, for me, I think that's one of the most important parts about recovery, right? Is being exposed to a whole bunch of new skills or tools or ideas that you didn't previously understand, and how to use those to make your life better through the process of treatment.
Right now, one of my biggest insecurities is like paying my finances, making sure I
Yeah,
have a place to go and all my bills are paid.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big stress and insecurity I got right now.
Mm-hmm. And also a cool part about treatment, where we can kind of give you that wraparound service, where we get you hopefully into a job, hopefully into housing, hopefully connected with other services. So another good reason why treatment can help you kind of move through that process. Yep. Go ahead, sir.
I mean, I mean, my addiction goes all the way into stealing things. I mean, being sober. I've been sober where I've sat there and stole to make things work so my kids had housing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and then going from that to like maybe just giving back to the community.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, trying to make things right. You know what I mean? It wasn't right that I took things while I was. You know what I mean? But at least you know, asking for forgiveness, I guess, and then paying back for what I can when I started working again or something. You know? I got my mind a little bit more right.
Yeah,
Because there's been times where I was, you know what I mean, like bills were due and like I wasn't drinking or using, but I still had to come up with money or it was the eviction time. So I was like, well, what do I do?
For sure.
I snapped back into my old way. So I don't know. That's just one way to look at it, I guess, for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you guys, and again, you can phrase it however you want to. Again, you're just trying to wrap your head around reality and try to figure out how to do that in a way that feels positive and good. It doesn't feel destructive. Okay, wisdom to integrate. Wisdom is an important word. We'll come back to that too. You guys understand the difference between wisdom and knowledge?
Experience.
Yeah. So knowledge is just like you know stuff, and knowing stuff is great, right? Wisdom is the application of knowledge, right? If you can learn something, then you can apply it to your life and see some kind of positive benefit. That's the difference between wisdom and knowledge. So a lot of us might, especially, how many people have been through treatment more than one time? So you guys know the thing. You've done the worksheets, you've sat through the classes, you've had conversations. None of us don't know how to get sober, right? All of us are aware of the process and how to do it. Getting to the point where we actually do apply it and actually see some positive benefit from it, that's kind of the tipping point, right? Being able to apply the stuff that you learn so your life is better afterwards. Okay, and then finally, love to connect. So this can obviously be love for people around you, but like some other people have mentioned, this is also like discovering how to love and take care of yourself, right? We often talk about addiction as like a really effective coping mechanism, and to some degree it is, but it's also pretty destructive, right? Whether that's physically, spiritually, emotionally, there's some negative cost to your addiction that impacts only you, right? So this love is about establishing like what it feels like to take good care of yourself so that you can then, right, share that with other people. So you can use that kind of self-love to initiate more positive relationships. Make sense?
Yep.
Any questions or anything you guys want to add on that? Okay, last one real quick. And these should be pretty simple because they're basically just the opposite of these. We've got safety, regulation, integration, and moving beyond. All right, safety should be pretty obvious. Let's say more about safety. What does safety mean for you guys?
Usually somebody farted.
Security. All right. Poop jokes in the morning. Come on. So say more about security, sir. What?
Security? I don't know if security is really fits, to be honest.
Okay.
Having some boundaries.
Having some boundaries.
Yeah, it gives you safety.
So what's a boundary that keeps you safe, Justin?
being aware of my surroundings, you know what I mean? I guess, and first and foremost, people that are using, you know what I mean? Let
Yes.
alone that I need to keep myself away from people like that, because, I mean, like a high and goodbye can be a type of thing, you know, just without having to show disrespect or anything else, like, hey, how's it going, you know what I mean? And then keep pushing. I hope everything works out for me. I don't know, in a sense, because if I don't do that, I end up tendency of, let me get your number. Really, should I be getting the number? Because then I'm starting that initiation of relapse coming along.
Yeah. Go ahead.
For me, a big one is, kind of like what Justin was saying, but like location. I moved away from the areas where I had the most usage in my addiction. And with that, coming to Portland, the only people I knew were in recovery. So like, changing my location gave me the safety to like progress further along the recovery.
Yeah, for sure. Stephen?
Security. So no longer insecure about who I am. I'm now secure, confident.
Yeah, nice.
In a healthy way.
Yeah, for sure.
Not overly confident, but confident. And that gives me my mental capacity of being safe. To have that secure in what I am, in my program, or whatever it may be for a healthier life.
And that's what I was kind of hinting at, is that this kind of idea around safety can be, you know, external to yourself, where it's like, yeah, you want to have a job that pays, you know, well enough. You want to have a place where you can sleep every night that, you know, feels safe. But also this is all of the like psychological and emotional stuff, right? By the time we get to the return, by the time you guys are out of here, there'll be some improvement in how you think about yourself, how you think about the process of both addiction and recovery, how you think about relationships. That safety, like Stephen was talking about, should be like part of your mindset now. It should have shifted your perspective, right? Like being in a place like this, you don't need to hoard things. You have basic needs provided for you, right? And that's different than being houseless. That's different being on the street, where it's like you gotta get the things that you can get, and you gotta hold on to them, and you gotta make sure you got them so nobody else has them, right? It's a different perspective. It's a different way of looking at the world. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. For me, it would be kind of situational, whether it's my recovery, is this situation good for me, emotionally, even with people, you know, is this interaction gonna get me turned up, or, you know, how's this gonna affect my well-being?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Marty.
Somebody that's self-control kind of fits under safety for me, no matter what.
You said self-control? Yeah, is there something specific that you're thinking about?
Oh, just really being honest with myself and saying I really don't want to do drugs, so it's kind of a safe spot.
There you go. Nice. Cool. Anything else on safety?
Everybody said everything else.
Yeah, good, yeah. And again, like, we often have these conversations, and just because 2 or 3 guys talk, it echoes for all of us, right? Some of us have some experience with all of these things, so, yeah. Cool.
I think safety also just brings you peace, you know?
Yeah.
As far as that, you know, the other side of that is chaos, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It can be really chaotic, but then having safety and being secure, you're at peace.
Yeah, I think peace is a great word for any part of the return, right? There should be some kind of settling as you get into that end process. Yeah, for sure. And again, like regulation, same kind of idea, right? Instead of being dysregulated, instead of being chaotic, you have some kind of idea about how to regulate your emotions, or at least how to respond appropriately to things, right? I think sometimes when we talk about regulation, especially dudes, we get this idea of like, oh, I'm just gonna be stoic, and I've regulated every emotion, and I don't feel anything. And that's not what I'm talking about, right? Regulation is the ability to perceive how other people are acting in a way that is correct, right? You can tell when somebody's angry versus when somebody's happy. But then it's also kind of modulating your response to things, right? There's nothing wrong with being angry, but there is something wrong with being angry and physically harming someone instead of being able to channel that anger in another direction. Nothing wrong with being sad and grieving. We should cry. There's lots of things in life that cause that emotion. It can be negative if you choose to self-harm, or you choose to turn to an addiction to seek relief, right? Instead of just owning that grief is part of life, feeling those feelings and understanding where they come from, integrating them, processing them, and getting on with your life. You guys understand the difference? I don't mean regulating in the sense that you're not allowed to feel anything. In fact, it's the opposite. I would encourage you to start feeling all of those things, but understand how to navigate them in a way that at least isn't destructive, right? May not always be beneficial, but at least doesn't cause harm. Okay, and again, same idea with integration, right? Anything that was bullshit in the past, anything that was harmful or distressing, right? We have this trajectory of focusing on the bad shit, right? Integration is about bringing all of that stuff to the present, and instead of focusing on the bad things that happened to you, now your trajectory and your viewpoint shift, and you focus on the skills and the tools that allow you to continue living having had those negative experiences. Say it again. Navigating.
So I got a question.
Sure.
So pretty much who you surround yourself with is gonna lead you in one of those directions, right?
I believe that, yeah.
But like if you reach out to the newcomers, as long as you have more people that are doing the right thing, then, someone who's more vulnerable, then you should be good. Something like that.
So here's what I'll say. I think for me during the process of recovery, I tried to have interactions with guys on both ends, right? If I was in the middle here, if I was in initiation, I wanted to try and hook up with some guys who were just getting into the process, right? As a way of, like we talked about earlier, sort of paying that back maybe.
Yeah.
But I also definitely needed to have dudes who were already in sobriety, who were mentors, who were checking up on me, nobody has their shit together, but if these guys had their stuff more together, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not, again, it's important to kind of play the spectrum a little bit, right?
Okay.
And to your point, yeah, you're not gonna go and hang out with the guys that you used to hang out with. We know that that's not gonna work out. But you, like Justin was saying, you walk by them on the street, you dap them up and just be like, bro, I hope you're doing well, high five, I gotta keep going, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, but understanding that you can't be back in the same spot that you came from.
Yeah, and just not disrespecting, because then it's like,
yeah,
hey, like my church, they want to see you doing good, but never better than somebody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? And,
Right.
that's the truth with people with addiction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That a lot of them want to see you do good if you have no solid people, and then sometimes they have the. I don't know.
That's when the boundaries come into play though, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Setting those boundaries.
For sure.
Because yeah, you can check in, but also I can't hang out with you like that.
Yeah.
That level.
Yeah, exactly.
I know where that's gonna lead.
And this is a conversation that often comes up when the people that we interact with are our family members, right? Or people who are super close to us who maybe are still in active addiction themselves, or maybe in some way, contributing to other people's addiction. There's lots of ways to think about that. Yeah. And it's okay to love those people. It's okay to keep those people in your lives to the degree. Yeah, exactly. To the degree that it's at a distance that doesn't negatively impact you, right? Like if they're pulling you back down, there's this great analogy. Can somebody volunteer? Somebody want to do a quick exercise? Come on, Earl. It's real quick. It's real quick. Just stand up on the chair for me, real quick. Stand up on the chair. So check this out, right? Earl's a big, strong dude.
No, I'm not.
You are. Come on. Pick me up. Pick me up. Pick me up. Right? But look, it's easy for me. Right?
Yeah.
It's always easier for somebody to pull someone else down.
Oh,
Right?
yeah. Sit down.
You don't want to be pulled
What if you're
down.
not intending to do that though?
Yeah, and intention.
To be bigger.
Yeah, for sure. And that it simplifies the point.
Okay.
But you guys understand, right? Even if there were 3 guys up here who all had their shit together, it's going to be challenging for them to pull me up. I have to make the choice that I want to move towards that direction for it to be effective. You guys understand?
Yeah, disingenuous, but okay.
It's simple. It simplifies it. Yeah, it simplifies it.
Well, that's why I don't like it, is the disingenuous, being disingenuous when, from their heart they're sincere, but you're doing such a great job, at this to a point where that becomes like a negative to me.
Well, and maybe Yeah, and maybe the thing we're talking about is the difference between people's words and their actions,
Yeah.
right? Because people can say a lot of things, and if people are saying a lot of things but not acting in a way that coincides with the way they
Right.
talk, that's also a red flag, right?
Condescending.
Condescending, yeah, that's still harmful, right? If they're not actively supporting you, if they're not actively participating in your recovery, it's still a red flag.
Still chip on the shoulder.
So all of that to say, like, this is what the moving beyond is talking about, right? However you guys want to phrase that, however you want to think about it. Definitely the people and places that you used to be, you need to move beyond those. But again, thinking about emotionally, psychologically, how your relationships function, like your mindset needs to shift. Your perspective needs to be different. The way that you look at and interact with the world has to change. You guys understand? Some of these things can be optional, but most of them are not. If you want to be successful in recovery, if you really want to get into sobriety, if you really want to actually affect transformational change, a lot of these are requirements. And what I observe is that a lot of people try to piecemeal these apart, right? Maybe they take one from here and one from here and one from here, and they're like, I got it. I just need those three. Yeah, it's like you can start out that way, and this could be overwhelming, right? There's a lot of stuff going on here. It can be challenging, but the curiosity to keep digging a little bit deeper, to keep being curious about navigating this process requires you to kind of think about all of this stuff. Make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions? If you want to write this down, I'll give you 1 minute to write down anything on this board.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to add something and we'll take our break